Well. You're listening to Gloves Off with Professor Buitrón. Alright then, I may say words on point, straightforward. No jibber jabber, everybody forward. Issues, facts and solution. Get it at Gloves Off with Professor Buitrón. Alright, what other thing is a revolution? Get it on point with Professor Buitrón. Gloves Off, no nonsense issues, politics, community. A better men follow reader. Gloves Off, a revolutionary show with everything that you need to know. With Professor Buitrón. Watch ya!
Gloves Off is always on point. Bringing you the best on current issues, community affairs, and the happenings around us. This segment of Gloves Off is brought to you by the best, so pay them a visit. Check them out. This is Gloves Off.
Beale, and from this is Texas Freedom Force, and we're going to touch base about what happened this past Saturday over in San Antonio at the Alamo. How we doing, Randy? We doing good?
Doing great, Paul. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks. Thank you and your group for defending the Alamo on Saturday. Tell us what happened on Saturday. What occurred that you all had to go over there and start protecting?
The first thing was the cenotaph was vandalized on Friday night. They have arrested one guy, not sure if he was the one that did it, but the cenotaph was vandalized, and we're highly involved in keeping the cenotaph right where it is. We don't want them to move the cenotaph because it will be broken. And so our guys in San Antonio and the local area mobilized down there to spend the night, and they did. And then the protest started on Saturday.
Okay. Were you there?
No, I was not. I had issues here in Houston that I had to deal with the San Jacinto Monument. But I was in touch with Brandon, our president, and some other guys we had on the ground throughout the entire event. So I did not have a firsthand accounting of it, but I do know the events that took place.
Can you explain a little bit about what This is Texas Freedom Force is?
Sure. We were founded, I believe it was in 2017, that someone, don't know who, had credible evidence that the Antifa were going to vandalize the Sam Houston Memorial here in Houston. So there was a call go out to patriots to show up and, stand around the monument, make sure nothing happened. So there was about 1,500 people responded. And after that, This is Texas Freedom Force was founded, And our purpose is to protect Texas monuments. Doesn't matter what monument it is. There's a lot of groups that, are Second Amendment groups and First Amendment groups, but there was no one that was specifically to go out and protect Texas monuments, because at that time there was a rash of people that were just pulling the monuments down, and didn't really matter what monument it was. They were saying it was just Confederate monuments, but it wasn't. It was all monuments. So that's how we were founded. And every time we had a call out that someone was trying to get a monument removed, we would respond to it. And so this is where we're at now. We've been in the cenotaph fight for over 3 years now, because they want to move it off the battle footprint and move it over to where the latrines were. And we just don't think that's right. That's a memorial to the fallen defenders of the Alamo.
Absolutely, and they shouldn't. And I've been following a little bit of what's been going on over there the past couple of years, and it's sad to see that history is being destroyed. And it's being destroyed by a particular group, the left, and for reasons, I don't know, either to dumb the folks of industry or not, but it's a sad thing that's going on. Now, what have you all, because you mentioned a word, that word is Antifa. A lot of people, especially in South Texas, do not know what Antifa is, but you all have experienced Antifa, correct?
Yes, sir. We have been at various rallies, protests, marches, whatever you want to call them. And not just our rallies. We support other groups because they support us. And
absolutely.
I personally have had my life threatened by Antifa on the Capitol grounds at a First Amendment march that was going on, I don't know, I guess probably 2.5, 3 years ago. And I've had my life threatened here in town in Houston by other leftist organizations that showed up at our rallies.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, because we cut off a little bit. So you've had your life threatened in Houston as well.
Yes. Not just by Antifa, by some other groups.
Okay. Is Antifa that violent?
I'm sorry, Paul, you were breaking up.
I said, is Antifa that violent as what people claim they are?
Yes, I think they're founded in violence. That's the only way they get their point across the United States. Antifa has a big faction in Austin. They are continually vandalizing, tearing stuff up. We've had to escort our, not just members, but we escorted people that were at our rallies to their vehicles, because the Antifa are nothing but cowards, and that's when they'll attack you. There'll be 3 or 4 gang up on one walking away or coming to a rally, and so we make sure that no one walks away alone. There's usually 2 of us escorting people in and out of events because of that faction. As far as I'm concerned, Antifa is violent. They have never been anywhere where they have not acted up or attempted to hurt someone.
Absolutely. And, because right now they're painting them as protectors of the faith and protectors of the First Amendment, especially with all these riots and protests that are going on throughout the United States. And people do not understand what it is. And I'm glad that people like you that have been in front of them understand them, and they can voice the truth about what group they are. Now let's touch base on another one. Let's touch base on the Second Amendment. I saw pictures of, this is Texas Freedom Force, armed, protecting the Alamo. Everybody has a right to exercise their Second Amendment. And let's talk a little bit about that, because right now it seems we do not have any militias here in Texas, right?
There are some militias in Texas. I wouldn't say they are as active as maybe they should be, but we do have a militia that helps us out quite a bit.
Okay, because that's what needs to happen. I believe in a well-regulated militia, and people do not understand the reasons for it. And now hopefully they can wake up with what's going on in the different parts of the United States with these riots, and understand that the only way you're going to protect your own and protect your family and protect your businesses and the businesses of the community is by having a well-regulated militia.
Yes, sir. We believe in the Constitution, and we really don't have a problem with Antifa if they want to have a rally and voice their concerns. But when it starts being violent and they start trying to hinder free speech, that's when we have a problem with it. And yes, our group is armed. There's rarely an event that we go to that we aren't armed. Now, sometimes we're armed more heavily than others. Other than that, I mean, we always have sidearms on, and that's exercising our right, because some of it, not just me, but some of us have had their lives threatened, and we take that very seriously.
Of course, when somebody threatens you, you better take it serious. You know, for the longest time I've taught martial arts for way 30 years. Yeah. And a lot of individuals do not understand the importance of self-defense. A lot of people they live in a bubble, in a fantasy world. That they're not aware of the actual cruelty of the world that we live in. Not everybody's bad, but there's bad people out there, and it can happen in a split second, and especially in what we're seeing in these videos. And what I'm looking at these riots, because now they're riots, they're protests that have become riots. It's full-blown violence, and the police are doing a good job, but they're standing down. I've seen a lot of video of that. What is your interpretation of that? Are the police standing down?
They are standing down. It depends on what city you're in. If you have a leftist mayor and a leftist governor, Antifa has free reign. There is absolutely no repercussions for their actions. They, they're like a spoiled baby, and they get their way. It's that way in some Texas cities, Austin being one of them. Not as bad as Portland or LA, any of those. I commend the HPD here in town, the Houston Police Department. They had a pretty good handle on what went on this weekend, but they are still ran by a leftist mayor, a leftist police chief, and a leftist Harris County sheriff. So, but yes, I've seen many police departments that have been ordered to step down, and they come after the patriots and will leave the Antifa run wild.
Absolutely. You know, I saw in a wake up, because I've seen a lot of videos, probably just like you have, of the different riots throughout the United States. And there's a particular one that was in New York, and it was owned by an Italian pizzeria, and they came out there armed, one with a shotgun and one with an AR. Yeah. And what happened was everybody just stopped right in front of them. And that shows you the perfect example that we have to protect our own. And I do not condone violence. I'm against violence. But when folks come out here and they say, we're here in a peaceful gathering, and they're throwing bricks, it's no longer peaceful. That's deadly. Okay? And that changes things. We've seen so many videos. Correct? Go ahead.
Well, the left has done so much vilification on firearms that a lot of people are like, oh my God, he's got a gun, he's bad. Well, part of our group and the groups that we support are working to change that. That's why we need constitutional carry passed, so that when people see you with the gun out there, they don't flip out. Case in point, to back up what you said, in 1992, when the LA riots broke out, the only business that wasn't looted, burned, and tore down was the Korean businesses, because they were on the roof with AK-47s and bolt-action rifles or whatever gun they had, and they were shooting into the crowd. And that proved the point right there, because that was total riot, chaos, and mayhem, but yet their businesses survived. And if you go across the United States right now, there's the businesses that have survived are the ones that have been standing out there armed, protecting it. And I don't know what else to say. That just proves a point.
Absolutely. And that's what people need to understand, that we need to protect our own. Some people are against guns, granted. So I look at it as a tool. I mean, I can see I can see that you have a gun. I can see that you go hunting because of the animals you see. You see what I have back here.
Sure.
And to me, a gun is a tool, just like a hammer, just like a knife, just like a screwdriver.
Correct.
And some people learn it, and you learn it when you're a kid. And some people will never grab a hammer again or a screwdriver. Understand what I'm saying? And that's just the way it is. But I remember when I used to live in Louisville, Kentucky, we used to have, and back in 5th grade, we used to have gun safety classes. The police would come in and give a gun safety course for all the kids that were there. Okay? You don't see that.
And that should be done today.
And it should be done today. And what happens if you see a gun? What happens if it is? And they'll give you a little test at the end. Okay, for you to realize what you had just seen. And that's very important. You don't see that anymore, And I think we're losing that, and we're losing it to the point that people have placed a carefree act towards a gun. We have way too many video games out there that 12-year-olds and 8-year-olds can grab a hold of, and they can shoot up so many people. So you've numbed the careness, so they think they can do whatever they want. They don't have that reality base anymore.
Correct.
I think that's the problem that we have now. And it's run amok. Do we have our accidents? Yes, we have our accidents. It's just like we have our accidents with any other tool, right? But there's a difference. Right now, we're at a point in time that we really have to start looking how we're going to implement that type of education again. And where's your all's next rally? Where's your all's next stop?
Well, our next event, we put up an event. It's not our rally, but OCT, Open Carry Texas, wherein we support their rallies and they support our rallies, which there was OCT people Saturday, and there was OCT people with me at the San Jacinto Monument on Saturday night. So they're having an event in Odessa this weekend, Saturday, and it was in direct conflict with the sheriff out there that arrested some guys that he shouldn't have arrested. They were doing nothing wrong, standing in a parking lot armed. So we are going out there to Odessa to support OCT in their rally this Saturday.
Absolutely. So you all go in different areas as well. So that's beautiful. Do you all have a group? Go ahead.
And we're a nonprofit. We fund everything that we do unless we get some donations, and we'll go anywhere in the state, giving the time and effort that we can do. We can plan it a little ahead of time. We can't do stuff like on the spur of the moment, but
right.
If we'll go anywhere in the state if people are having trouble with their monuments and people tearing them down. And as far as OCT, we try to attend all of their events because we support one another. in both First Amendment, Second Amendment, constitutional Bill of Rights issues across the board. So, yeah, it is costly. There's no doubt about it. And it all comes out of our pocket.
Absolutely. Well, you all are doing a wonderful thing for standing up. I want to thank you. I want to thank everybody that was there in both monuments, both San Jacinto and the Alamo, because we need that. We cannot destroy our history. And talking about the riots that are going out there right now is, I think everybody is appalled about what happened with Mr. Floyd, but violence is not the key. And we have to come back to dialogue, because the only thing that we're doing is it's no longer about that issue. It's something else now. It's an agenda. And it's no longer about a man got murdered. It's about, we want it this way. And I think that's the key point here.
Yes, I'm in agreement. I'm appalled what happened to Mr. Floyd also. You know, I don't see where people think that a lot of people think that we are happy that that happened. We are not happy that that happened. But, you know, maybe it wouldn't have happened if some of the Minneapolis people would have been there armed and showed up on site and got that officer off of Mr. Floyd before that happened. And, you know, that's something we'll never know. But that he had no one there to defend for him. You know, I mean, I would have risked being arrested myself and not just filmed the event. I would have thrown that cop off of him, because you could, man was in distress, and he wasn't going to make it. So anyway, that was just me. But
no, I'm with you 100%. You know, and I would have interfered, and I would have gotten inside there, because that was plain old murder, and they had other police officers that had him detained, and he was detained, period. But for the way it looked, it was straight murder. Whether, you know, there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there, whatever anybody wants to believe, was murder. That's the end of the thing.
Yeah, you can't stop conspiracy theories. But, you know, the other officers could have went up there and said, hey, you know, dude, maybe you need to back off. This guy's not going anywhere. Just back off, and we'll arrest him and go on down the road. But they didn't.
You see, that's the problem that I have. A lot of people say, a lot of officers are coming out and say, we're not that way. We understand you're not that way. What's going on is we have good officers that see a bad event such as that. They'll report it, and the whole police force goes against that officer that reported.
Yes.
And that needs to stop. So, and they'll go to internal affairs or whatnot, and it's kind of like we protect our own. We understand all that. But what needs to happen, I think, and this is a different point of view, is that another agency should be open, whether it's state or federal, that looks into these, investigates them, not their own departments. Understand what I'm saying?
Sure. Internal affairs are just that, internal affairs. They keep their affairs internal. And
absolutely.
You know, a lot of times they do not come out with I wouldn't say the correct, but they certainly don't hold everybody accountable.
Absolutely. So, you know, we need another agency that's going to protect the good officers that are in there. Because what happens when a good officer does complain and the department turns against them, they become compliant. They won't do anything again. They just numb themselves out. And either that or they get tired, and all of a sudden they're working somewhere else. You know, they're no longer a peace officer. And that's what occurs. And we understand not all police officers are that way, but all the good police officers have to stand up. They all have to stand up against the wrong that's in the department. Randy, one other thing. If somebody wants to join your all's group, how can they do so?
The quickest way is go to txfreedom.org. And you can sign up there, put the application, or, you know, put your paperwork in, and pay what the fee is. It's a yearly fee right now, but we haven't collected the renewals yet. I'm not even, I think it's still $40, but you can do that on the website. And then at some of our events that we have just for promotional, that, you know, we might set up a tent, we will have stuff there. But the easiest and quickest way is go to txfreedom.org.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you all again. We're running out of time, and keep doing what you're doing and let freedom ring. Right? Peace.
Thank you, Paul. You keep doing what you're doing too. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Gloves Off is always on point. On point. Bringing you the best on current issues, community affairs, and the happenings around us. This segment of Gloves Off is brought to you by the best, so pay them a visit. Check them out. This is Gloves Off.